Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We are running into our favorite video of each and every weekday, that player props video. Good to start 3-1 on the week last night. Would have been 4-0 if Julius Randle had played 1 second or more in that fourth quarter, was able to drop 2 points. But either way, good to start some units up on the week. Nate does have his great article up as well on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there. And like and subscribe to that page. We've got a gift card opportunity for you here, so do need to be liked and subscribed to be eligible to jump into the comments. Let us know the total prop that we'll give you here in just a moment. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as tonight's play of props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm starting with the Bucks to bounce back here. Chris Middleton had a dud, 9 points, as the entire team got smoked by Denver last time out, 136-100. They're in a bit of a funk, but when Middleton gets a higher usage rate, really their last two wins, his usage has been over 30%. So I expect him to come out gunning a little bit more, and his points prop is pretty low because of that dud at 19.5 against the Washington Wizards. His all-around production has been good, and I would also like the 30.5 combined points, rebounds, assists. Look, even with that dud in his last 13, he's averaging well over that, 23 points, 6 assists, 6.5 rebounds. He's shooting 50 or 49, 44, 89, kind of a perennial 50, 40, 90 guy at this point. Very reliable, especially against a team that sells out to stop the three and stop paint points the way Washington does. Washington also allows the fewest fast break points per game. So I'm shying a little bit away from Giannis tonight for his high props and hoping that Middleton gets a little more done in the half court. Washington lately has actually struggled all of a sudden against the three. They're 27th in three-point defense and in defensive rating, while dropping 5 straight, allowing 115 points per game in that span. And the Bucks are also allowing 115 in their last 5. So I would expect kind of a good game to target here for props. Bradley Beal is out for Washington. So Kyle Kuzma, Spencer Dinwiddie are expected to step up there. But Middleton is my most confident here. His last 4 against Washington, averaging 32.5 points per game on 50, 45, 100% splits. So I think he can keep it rolling and at least get 20 points tonight. 25 points in a win gets you some nice juice, considering the Bucks are 11-point favorites without that bonus.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Chris Middleton in his career has been really good against Washington. They've been historically a bad defensive team, especially since he's been in the league, honestly. He gets that 21 points a game against them in more than 20 starts against the Wizards in his career. So yeah, I feel good about Chris, and I definitely want to eye this game. The Wizards are back to being a team that we can definitely eye in terms of players playing against them, as their defense has just plummeted after about the first 15, 20 games of the season. They were a pretty good squad on that side of the floor. So I'll take a bunch of Bucks with you tonight, and definitely start with Chris Middleton there at only 20 points. It sounds great. Moving on to Booker. In that Suns and Nets game, plenty of options for player props in here as well. We're going to talk about D Book in this one, where his points prop is at 30.5 points. You could actually get 30 points for him and a win for these Suns, as we expect tonight for them, and that's plus 154. Feels like really great odds considering his prop sits at 30.5, 30 points. Plus 154 with a W, and that spread still sits at about 6 points. So that's a really great way to get that money line for the Suns down and still get really good plus odds. Before going into why Booker is so good and going to get those 30 points tonight, we're going to go ahead and make him part of that gift card opportunity. Let's combine him with Kyrie, as we know he's going to be playing since it's a road game for the Nets. So we'll say combined points for Kyrie Irving and Devin Booker tonight in that game. That is the point prop. So make sure you're liked and subscribe to the video and to the page, and jump in the comments and let us know how many points both those guys will score combined tonight. I think you got to go close to the 60s. Kyrie's probably, I think his points prop sits at about 28.5. It will be rather. I believe we're still waiting on the most of the Nets props as we see if James Harden plays tonight. I don't think Harden will necessarily take away from Irving's offensive output. I think obviously if Harden doesn't play, you can still expect plenty from Irving. If he does, it's still going to be your turn, my turn. But this is about Devin Booker. And so why we're taking him 30 points and a win is really one of my favorite bets. His last 4, he's on fire, 33.3 points per game in that time, shooting 46% from the field and about 3.5 threes a game on less than 10 attempts. So, shooting up nearly 40% from 3 as well. And then his usage rate is just super high, 37% on a team, that is really good. But they've had some guys missing as they do tonight, and Jay Crowder, DeAndre Ayton, Shamet, and Campaign all sitting out tonight. So, it's really going to be the Booker and Chris Paul show tonight. Both these guys are doing really well in terms of playing against Brooklyn as well, who we know is very bad right now on defense, especially when Kyrie plays and Kevin Durant does not. We're talking about a lot more points in this game given up and scored for the Nets. And so, in Booker's last 3 versus Brooklyn specifically, he's averaging 29 in that time, about 29 and a half. So really close to that 30-point prop. And I think this game will be pretty close. Now he's got great splits as well. I'm looking at him. I'm also looking at Chris Paul. If you like that, we talked about it in the other video. Him to hit 1-3 and a win still gets you about minus 130. Him to get a double-double in the win is even money. Considering his assist prop is at 11 and a half at about minus 110. The expectation is that he's going to get more than 10 assists tonight. So the double-double for Chris Paul in the win as well gets you plus 100 or even money rather on FanDuel. Book and Chris Paul, feeling really good about both those guys carrying the offense tonight for the Suns.
Yeah, and interestingly, Booker's numbers are higher on the road versus at home, but lately he's spiked in some home games, and probably a lot of it has to do with those guys being out. Also, the Suns are playing faster, scoring more at home, giving up more at home, and they're welcoming a Nets team that gets into shootouts tonight. And the fact that the Nets, out of offensive necessity, are going to have to play probably Kyrie, Harden, and Patty Mills if Harden's available at the same time, it leaves a mismatch for Booker almost every single time, to be able to go at one of those guys. So that's why I would focus on his points and staying hot tonight. We talk in that Spurs-Warriors game about Steph Curry going off as he did last night, but I'm actually looking at the Spurs main guy on the other side, DeJounte Murray, for his all-around production at 37.5 points, rebounds, assists. His last 5 home games, he's averaging a triple-double, a pretty big one, in fact, 22.5 points, 10 rebounds, 11.8 assists. I would also just look at 29.5 points and assists maybe, but I think the way he's filling it all up, you just want to combine those all together. He's been able to score on the Warriors, 22-plus in 3 of their last 4 meetings. The exception was a back-to-back in February when they played each other on back-to-back nights last year, and he had a cold night there. Murray does a little bit better with extra rest, especially in terms of efficiency and assists. He's averaging 10.8 assists per game this year when he gets at least 2 days rest, and his offensive rating jumps to 115 when he gets 3 days of rest. I bring it up because he sat out on Sunday in a loss to Phoenix, so he has not played since Friday against the Bulls when he dropped a nice 29, 9, and 12 on that team. We kind of talked about putting him in the player props video that night, opted to go for inconsistent Celtic to be named, and it did not pan out, but we're circling back to DeJounte here against a Warriors team that's on a back-to-back, so he'll have the rest advantage, and he has to do a lot for the Spurs to be able to hang with the Golden State Warriors tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, the total, we were both waffling on a bit, leaning under in terms of this game tonight, just in terms of the total points, but it does sit at 226. And so if you think that the Spurs are going to get anywhere near the 110 mark that they have on their team total, that bulk of those stats, as you mentioned, are going to have to come from DJM, from DeJounte. So feel pretty good about him tonight. And I would look at some Dubs players too, just maybe Wiggins or Steph as well. But there's one guy that's going to be really doing it for the Spurs tonight. So you feel good about taking his player props there. Lastly, a guy we haven't been able to mention for too long, but it's time to bring back friend of the show, Franz Wagner on the Magic. He's got a nice juicy prop at 15.5 points tonight, or you could get 18.5 points and assists. Both of those sit at minus 120, feeling like they're pretty likely. In his last 5, he's back up to his ways, 19 points a game, 4 assists. That does include one outing against the Bulls, who is their opponent tonight. He had 18 points on 7 of 14 shooting from them in 38 minutes. It's really about getting that playing time for him. He's back up to about 33 minutes per game since the 1st of December. And in that time, averaging, 17.5 points and 3.5 assists, getting you over both of those totals, really. But yeah, I think the points either way, you got to feel pretty good about. The Bulls are giving up a ton of points right now, not playing well on defense at all, and allowing teams to actually shoot at the 5th highest effective field goal percentage, and really just overall field goal percentage as well, shooting more than 52% from the field are anybody playing Chicago right now. And in their last 3, they've given up 117 points per game. This is in Chicago, where at home they're just as bad on defense right now. They've given up 116 points in their last 4 home games. So I feel good about the points coming from Franz tonight, at getting him just needing 16 against a team that he's played historically well against and gotten those 20 points in his last couple outings against the Bulls.
Yeah, and we should note that the Magic beat the Bulls in Orlando just 9 days ago. So I would look at some Bulls props going the other way as well, like Nikola Vucevic to burn his former team. He's at around 29.5 points and rebounds. I would expect them to come out strong in response to that. But the thing with Wagner and with the rookies on this Magic team is they're not going to sit even if it gets out of hand. You'd think, he'll still get his plenty of opportunities. That's why he's been so consistent, even though Orlando has consistently been losing, that he's averaging over 15.5 points. And against a bad defensive team, I don't see why not take the over on those points.
Yep. No, I totally agree with you there. That is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page so you can jump in the comments and let us know the combined point total tonight for Devin Booker and Kyrie Irving in that Nets and Suns game. And until we see you next, happy betting.